Hi, in this video, we're going to install the WebLogic Kubernetes operator. I have my Kubernetes configuration file here for my cluster, and my cluster is basically empty. I don't have any pods or deployments currently. So I'm going to start by cloning the repository. Okay, so we've cloned the repository, and I'm going to be working in the Kubernetes directory, where we have the scripts to install the operator. Let me quickly show you the instructions on GitHub. Oops. So as you can see in the GitHub project, we have the installation instructions right here. So I'm going to be following through these instructions to do the installation. So first step is to customize the parameters file. So that's this create operator inputs. So we need to go through and set up how we want our operator to look. I'll take a lot of the defaults as we go through this. So my service account is going to be called WebLogic Operator. My namespace will be WebLogic Operator. The target namespaces where I want to have my WebLogic domains, I'm going to call that domain 1 and domain 2. There's the image that'll be used for the operator. And I need to select what kind of REST configuration I want. So I'm going to use the self-signed certificate option. So the script will generate certificates for me that will be used by the operator to talk to external clients and to WebLogic server. And in those certificates, I need to have the name of the Kubernetes server as a subject alternative name. So I'll enter those in here. Notice my external REST port is going to be 31001. Now I'll skip over these next few options. These are if you want to provide your own certificate that you have created or signed by an external CA. These are for debugging the operator, which I'm not going to do. Here's the default log level info. And I'm going to turn on the elk integration so that we can see the operator's logs in Kibana. So that's all we need to do. We can save that. And now I'm going to run the script create WebLogic operator and give it the input file. Okay, so you can see it prints out the parameters that I've set. It's currently generating the certificates. Now it's generating the YAML files that we'll need to deploy the operator and for the RBAC role definitions and grants. It's creating the namespaces for the operator and for the domains that I asked for. Creating my service account, WebLogic operator, and it's checking that my persistent volumes exist and creating the persistent volume claims. Now it's setting up the RBAC rules for me, the roles and bindings. And now it's going to deploy the operator and create the services that allow me to access the operator REST interface. And now it's just waiting for the operator to start up. Okay, so the operator has started and it's just checking on the configuration. Now it's going to deploy the elk stack for me, and it'll create the services so I can access that, and it's finished. So let's take a look at what we got. So as you can see here, it's telling me these are the files that were generated. And if I wanted to, I could go and edit those and change things around and so on. If this one, for example, is the RBAC definitions. So you can see here there's the roles that are used to let the operator access various APIs. Here's the YAML file for the WebLogic operator deployment itself. So you can see some of the parameters that I passed in, like the name, the namespace, the image pool policy, and so on. Those are set in here. You can see it defines a liveness probe, and so on. And here's the service that we can access the REST API server, and so on. Okay, so if we have a look, Kubernetes now, we can say get namespaces, and we'll see it's created the 2 domain namespaces that I asked for and the WebLogic operator one just a couple of minutes ago. We can also see that in the Kubernetes console. So if we just refresh here, we can take a look in the WebLogic operator namespace. And you can see here's my operator deployment and my Logstash deployment and the pods that they're running in. And there's nothing currently in my domain namespaces. In my default namespace, I have the Elasticsearch and Kibana running, and we can see the services for those. So you see Kibana's on port 30178, for example. And we can also see our WebLogic operators service as requested. Well, we can't see it in there. Let's click on this. 31001. So let's call some of the REST APIs. I've got a little script here that prepares the token and the certificates for me so that I can make a call to the REST API with the proper authentication token and the proper certificate. So I'm just using this to make it a little bit easier to call the REST APIs. And I'm using JQ to format the response. So for example, I can call the operator, which is the root resource. So you can see the script prints out some useful debugging information for me, like the certificate and the return codes and so on. And here's the actual data that came back. So the REST API follows the WebLogic REST standard. So you can see here it gives me a link to the available versions. So I can use V1, or I can actually use latest as well to get the latest version. So you can see I have two resources here, domains and Swagger. So, well, we don't have any domains yet, so let's take a look at the Swagger one. And you see this brings me back details of the APIs that are available. This is also available in the documentation on the GitHub side. If you go in, sorry, not on the installation page, you go back to the home page. Under API documentation here, you can access the Swagger documentation, which provides the same information but in a little bit easier to consume format. Tells me all the parameters, return, and so on. So let's also take a quick look at the Kibana dashboard. So you may remember the Kibana service was on port 30178. So you see here 30178. So let's go to the dashboard. 30178. Okay, so let me just change our time period and we should see our data. Okay, so here's the data that's coming in from the operator's log file. So if we want to pick, for example, the log field and maybe the level field, we can see the log messages coming through in a little bit nicer, nicer format here. So we can see things like the REST server starting up here. We can see it checking if there are any domains in those two namespaces that we asked for. Starting its liveness thread and so on. So there's a bunch of useful information in here. So that pretty much demonstrates installing the WebLogic Kubernetes operator and taking a bit of a look around what we get. And in the next video, we'll look at actually creating a couple of WebLogic domains.